Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Last American Pubcast, where everyone knows your name, or at least I know the panelists' names. So raise your glass for everybody on tonight. I'm PJ Williams, host of Wartime Propaganda, and joining me tonight is Frank of Let's Be Frank.
Hey, guys, welcome back.
Yes, and we have Abby Libby, our newest panelist and co-host of the upcoming podcast Conspiracy Pilled.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, and we also have the bane of the Washington Post and host of the Mad Ones, Cam Harless. How's it going?
It's going all right. How are you?
All right, and last but certainly not least, you've seen her on my show, and hopefully you're all familiar with her true crime videos. Katie Zed joins the Pubcast. How's it going, Katie?
Hey, guys. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is a great panel we got set up for you guys tonight. Also, we brought on a few fact checkers to keep us honest and accurate. So first of all, we have the notorious Kitty coming back, named Bean. And now we also have the ultra-based Metabot, BlenderBot 3, as it's actually called. I just want to let people know throughout the show, I'm going to be trying to, we've talked about BlenderBot before, the based bot that says Mark Zuckerberg is a creep and Trump won the 2020 election. So when we have some questions in chat, I'm going to see if BlenderBot wants to chime in on those or if we have a fact check issue. So we got that going for you guys tonight. And to jump right into it with our first story, the DOJ has released a redacted version of the Mar-a-Lago affidavit. I just want to show a little bit of this clip and we'll get into it. So
what we've seen here, 38 pages. Now, there are a few pages up front, I think 8 pages or so, in which they explain what they're going to redact.
Explaining what they're not explaining.
They proceed to do such redaction. And this lists what was top secret and that sort of thing. So that's what you're seeing, content there. Otherwise, almost all of this is redacted.
So did you guys get a chance to actually peruse through the affidavit?
About 2 minutes. 2 minutes to read the whole thing. 38 pages.
Yeah, the longest part really is the first 8 pages. It's just, and it's not anything pertaining to the case. It's just, hey, this is the U.S. code. This is the law that we're basing things on. Nothing in there except for, I think, 2 paragraphs. One of them was basically kind of backing Trump's claim that he can declassify anything he wants. And then the only other part in there that was unredacted was the part saying, well, there's some legal scholars who think that it doesn't matter if he can redact anything he wants or declassify anything he wants. That's like literally just to break it down for you, the quick thing. What was some of your guys' thoughts when that happened?
It's like we know that we just did something like wildly unprecedented and really, really concerning. The reason we did this is redacted. Hope this helps.
I found it interesting that they quoted a Breitbart article in there, which was Kash Patel, that was talking about what Trump was bringing out of Mar-a-Lago and why it was unclassified.
I mean, I think we all called this ahead of time before it even came out. We knew that it was going to be 100% redacted or 97% redacted. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, Rip. Alien Testosterone with the round for everyone.
Appreciate it. Yeah. You know what's funny to me is like I feel like every 5 seconds they're changing the story on this to the point where they're just going to completely ignore the fact that they had come out and did this bombshell of Trump has nuclear secrets or nuclear codes or something like that. And they're like, well, he's just got a lot of redacted. The little parts you could see from it really showed it was a fishing expedition because everything that was unredacted was like, we're looking for things and stuff that might relate to a bunch of other things and stuff.
In Melania's closet.
In her underwear drawer that the FBI now has some panties. I'm sure they're trying to investigate.
Her wardrobe.
The most expensive panty raid in U.S. history.
Yeah.
This whole thing is that we know, or I highly suspect that Trump did take the Russiagate documents with him, that showing that he was exonerated from all of those things that the mainstream media, the Democrats, all laid at his feet, saying he colluded with Russia. Obviously, if you had a brain at any point during this last 6-7 years, you would have understood that was a cooked up narrative, cooked up by the mainstream media, by the Democrats, by Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and facilitated by Joe Biden, Susan Rice, and others within the White House back in 2016. Excuse me. And so what he had was probably those documents, and they didn't want those documents going public because it embarrasses the agency, the FBI.
Yeah, and it was all wrapped together with a nice little bow of being approved by Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. On top of, just really get the whole cabal in there into one conspiracy. That's true.
I'm just curious why they didn't take this affidavit and make it a Kindle book or hardcover like they did the Mueller report. I mean, I wasn't going to read it. I'm going to wait till the affidavit's on Audible, I think.
I don't know what it's made for TV movie, but yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be the sequel to the January 6th movie that they're currently making.
God.
You know how many you know that there's going to be a lot of January 6th movies over the next couple of decades, and each one's going to be more fantastical than the last. It'll have like some. It'll have Joe Biden running in and stopping and cutting the red or blue wire to stop a nuclear bomb or something.
Mhm.
Well, that's the thing. It'll grow like a fishing story, because it'll be like a serious kind of look at it with a little bit of danger, and then eventually it'll be an epic, and it'll be super dangerous.
Directed by Michael Bay.
And
We all know it was actually a snipe hunt.
right, and then at that point, we'll have actually seen an insurrection instead of that disappointment we saw on January 6th.
Right. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, they'll come up with a way better narrative of what January 6th probably should have looked like versus what we got.
Yeah.
What was that country? We talked about this on the Pubcast a few weeks ago. What was the country where they actually had a real January 6th? And they just all rushed the Capitol building and
wasn't that Burlesque or Buer? No. Where was it?
It was a place.
Some Asian country, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Racist.
where they occupied
was
the
it
president's
Burma?
house and stuff.
Yeah, good question. Maybe Burma. I don't know. It was an inconsequential country. That's all.
It was so important that none of us can remember it.
Sri Lanka.
Was it Sri Lanka?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Shirley Unicorn comes in with the check for
The
us. Thank you.
save.
It's one of those countries you've heard of, but no one can point to on a map. That's what
I don't know where it is.
If the party of guns actually committed a planned insurrection,
it would have had guns.
Here's the thing. I've noticed that all of the cases that I've looked into, the January 6th cases, anyone who had a gun there that day is doing many years. And like, there's a guy that just got sentenced to seven years, I believe, and he didn't even go into the Capitol. He just had a gun on the grounds. So
if there had
and
been
there's like 2 or 3 of those. That's it.
I don't, and as far as I've read, I don't think any of the people who were arrested with gun charges were in the Capitol.
I don't think so either. Yeah. I haven't looked at every case because there's like 1,000 of them, obviously, but
did y'all see the clip of the QAnon shaman literally yelling inside the Capitol that it had to be peaceful?
Yes. Yeah, we've seen lots. I mean, I've seen clips of the people letting them in and saying, hey, guys, you can come in, the Capitol Police letting people in and say, hey, guys, you can come in, just keep it peaceful. Like, yeah, that's cool. We're just going to look around.
Mhm.
There's tons of these videos. That's why they arrested people I know, all of us know, I think, for having documented those incidents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. There was an interesting video talking about January 6th. There's a great guy that I follow that's been following all the stories. Man, for whatever now reason, it's escaping my name.
Because you're on the spot.
It is. It is. I can't think of his name at the moment. I just saw I had retweeted his story that he just put out here. And I can't think of it. We'll circle back to it. I'm going to pull a Saki. I can't think of it now. That's terrible. That's terrible. I can't think of it.
Well, speaking of coups with invading a palace or a house, I just automatically my mind went to Ceausescu in Romania. Do y'all know that story at all?
Vaguely.
No.
So in Romania, 1989, Ceausescu was like a horrible dictator there, and what's his name? Gorbachev was not kind of defending communism in Romania or other places. They'd extended themselves too far. They were kind of given up, and so those people rushed into the palace. I'm pretty sure they extracted him via helicopter, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But then they got him out, and then I want to say it was Christmas Day, they did a public execution that they filmed of him and his wife. And so, like, in my mind, when I hear insurrection,
you think of actual insurrection.
It means something.
All we had was a fake gallows that that wasn't even strung up with a rope, as far as I know.
Yeah, I remember actually filming those gallows there in January 6th while I was on the ground. Me and Steven actually had walked by them, and we were laughing at them.
Aren't they like minute size too? Like, were they just going to hang like the midget impersonator of Joe Biden and Mike?
There was no trap door. There was no trap door in it. I remember you and Steven checking it out to see if it. Yeah, there was no trap door.
No trap door. It was very flimsily made. There was that wood would not have supported more than maybe one person up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a good symbol. Like any honest person saw that and were like, okay, this is just somebody making a symbolic gesture. There's nobody actually going to get hung on this, cheaply made plywood gallows.
They were just trolling.
Free State Will. That's who it is on Twitter. Free State Will.
Oh yeah.
So let me show you guys this real quick. This was at the Capitol. I can't believe I didn't see this while I was there. On the backside of the Capitol there. Let me go ahead and pull it up on the chat for you guys to see this. And this was a truck there parked at the Capitol. So there's a 3%er truck that's parked there at the Capitol. Who did it belong to? Why was it there? You know what I mean? This is the stuff that people, obviously are linking feds to.
Mm-hmm.
Why would this not be how did it get up there? Because I remember all the streets closed off while we were up there filming. There would have been no way that would have been a normal person to be able to get that truck.
Drove it through the crowd. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, the two most famous people on January 6th are the QAnon shaman and Ray Epps.
Yeah.
Was that his name? So
and Ashley Babbitt, unfortunately.
Well, sorry, I should say Ashley Babbitt, but one of those guys is in prison in a gulag forever, and the other guy has been charged with absolutely nothing at all. So if you think that there wasn't Fed involvement, he was the one who was going around to every one of these barricades telling people, and the night before telling people that they need to go into the Capitol. Like, this wasn't even something I think that was in most people's minds to rush the Capitol. It seemed like it was some people started doing it and the crowd fell into it. He was talking about this, 24 hours in advance on camera.
I just recently saw a video come out with it was a cop I think it was a Capitol Police in full uniform with a MAGA hat on, leading other cops out of the Capitol as people were coming in. Yeah. Like, what was that about?
And obviously, we know that this stuff is all coordinated through, certain psyops and stuff, and the birds are coordinating with the feds on all of this.
Birds aren't real.
Trade secrets.
Let me share this with you guys real quick. Oh, we got a round coming in.
I'm trying to say thanks for buying us around, Ocean Breeze Salty. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. It says towards your bail money when they come for you, if you let them even post. Wow. Yes. Thank you so much. And we got another one
too.
Oh my goodness.
Coming in from Capper Outdoors. Hey, my friend, how are you doing over there? Great channel, by the way. If you haven't checked out Capper Outdoors, he has a fantastic YouTube channel. Go check it out.
Sweet, will do.
I swear these people try to get me as drunk as fast as possible.
It starts off real slow, and it all comes in hot and heavy. And Abby's like, "I'm out of drink," and her husband's coming in with some more for her.
He's berating her after the show for drinking his expensive scotch.
I accidentally poured his more expensive stuff, thinking it was the cheaper stuff yesterday or last week.
Honest mistake.
I was going to share that because. Talking about the affidavit, and we've been talking about, the consequences of what's going to happen as we continue to move forward toward the midterms. I put out this poll out 7 hours ago. It's about 9,000 votes on it. I asked, will the Biden regime try and arrest Trump before the midterms? 89% of the people that responded to this poll said yes. 89% people that responded to this poll, so nearly everyone, thinks that the regime is going to move in a way to arrest Trump.
Yeah, I think that the one part of the affidavit that I pointed out earlier really makes me think this is they tried to include this one interpretation of, I read it a million times and I won't be able to remember it now, some U.S. code law that says essentially, yes, we could arrest the president even if we think that national security is at threat. It doesn't matter if he declassified the documents. It doesn't matter if they never were classified. If we think he has something that would jeopardize national security. And that's just one interpretation of a very broadly written law that doesn't actually say that. But in one of the unredacted parts is their interpretation saying, well, it doesn't matter.
Thank you again, Denise.
Thank you.
With $2 says, I'm getting another one. Drink.
So with the whole arresting thing, like I think that they want to, but certainly they're smart enough to not do that.
I'm not sure, Cam.
Are they?
I was listening to.
Certainly, they can see the repercussions.
I think if they do arrest him and it does, that all becomes public record, so they can't redact. So once it becomes public record.
Well, I mean, and on top of that, look what happens if that goes down.
Thank you, Tara.
In 2016, Donald, I think I may have talked to you about this before, PJ. But in 2016, Donald Trump was the avatar of the disaffected, the discontented, and the people who were tired of what they were dealing with, tired of Obama, tired of Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, etc. And so he was their avatar. And I think right now, when you see that FBI raid and all of that, he is still acting as an avatar, but the left is viewing him as an avatar for the people. And so you have this dynamic here. I think that they want to make everyone scared, but I think if they actually arrested him, people do see him as them in some sense of the word, and you're not going to have a peaceful response to that.
My theory, and I've been saying this for a few months now, and I hope to God I'm wrong, but I really think this is where they're going, and I've got some evidence I could bring up for this. I think the October surprise isn't just that they arrest Trump. I think the October surprise is that they want the violent reaction and they want to shut down anybody on our side from being able to vote at all.
Right. I think that it's just so big. Like I don't want to. I don't think they're as dumb as some people think. But if they want it, yeah, that makes sense. But if
I don't.
Well, they've already crossed the Rubicon, right? By doing this already, so they have to lean into it. They can't back off now. They have to lean into the actions they've already committed. So the half measure isn't going to work for them at this point.
Right.
I think that they want it too much and they believe their own press too much, that the only people who are really with Trump are just far-right extremists. I think that they've said it so many times that they believe it.
They've set the stage for making a certain side of making our side of the political spectrum to be out, to be violent extremists who are not shouldn't be allowed in this country. I mean, just like what Kathy Hochul said this week. She said that 5.4 million Republicans should just leave New York because. Well, I'll just read her quote. Sorry. She said, I'll just jump on a bus and head down to Florida where you belong. That's what she said to her own citizens, the ones that she's the governor over. So I think these people actually do want a civil war. I think they're pushing for it. Or if not a civil war, they just want the violent reaction to be enough that they can crack down on everyone.
Well, we're heading into, I mentioned this in our Telegram chat that we have for the host and things about that quote, and I'm kind of where you're with at there, PJ, that Civil War mentality. They are looking to make us the enemy where it will be okay to actively hunt Republicans or conservatives or Trump supporters or anybody that disagrees with the Democrat Party.
The violent rhetoric is already like surpassing that of the 1860s America. If you think about this, okay? In 1865, when we actually had a civil war, people were divided on about two things. They were divided on the idea of states' rights, and they were divided on the idea on slavery. If you think about today, are we more divided or less divided than the actual Civil War times? I would say we're far more divided because there's not a single issue that we're anywhere close on. There's no middle ground at any of the major issues today. Because you could at least argue in the 1860s, they all had a common ground understanding of most of reality, for one. I mean, we're not even in agreement on reality anymore. Like the reality of biological facts like gender. We're not in the agreement on sexualizing children, on mutilating children, on abortion. There's nothing that we have a middle ground where we can just come together on. At least in 1860s America, you could say, yeah, we pretty much agree on most things, or at least have a common ground idea of most things outside of these two issues, outside of federalism and outside of slavery. I don't think we're there today.
Well, and they're trying to evoke a violent reaction out of our side. But if you look at what happened in 2020, they had a violent reaction on their side. They stoked the fire, they stoked the flames, and then we had the summer of love leading up to the 2020 election. And I think they're trying to do the same thing this, now, except to have us do that. And I don't think we will.
I think in a lot of ways, this war is being fought on social media. And when they suspend us, when they erase us, it is like that quasi killing somebody and removing them from the fight.
Well, they just took down Andrew Tate. I know there are some people out there that are not big fans. I didn't even know who Andrew Tate was, to be honest.
I'm not a big fan
until recently. But again, just another example of silencing voices that they may not agree with. I think we talked about this at the last stream where we talked about Alex Jones being that canary in the coal mine, and where nobody said anything. They this platform him everywhere. So who did they go after next? When nobody outraged? Well, of course, it was Trump and others.
Yeah.
With Andrew Tate, I will say I vehemently disagree with this guy's premise. I understand that he says some things people like, and if you just look at the stuff that you like, he says some really powerful, really positive stuff. I've listened to some of his clips, and it's like, wow, that is spot on. And you really look into the guy, and you're like, this guy's disgusting, and I don't want to defend him. But it's the same thing as Alex Jones. It doesn't matter if you like him or not. You can't
exactly.
Well, people like that get deplatformed and silenced and expect they're not going to come for you next. That's what happened when they took Alex Jones off of platforms a few years ago. That's what they're trying to set up now. I said it a few weeks ago when me and Katie covered the Alex Jones trial. I said they're going to start coming after other people like that, and they wasn't long before they came after Andrew Tate, whether I like him or not. And I personally don't.
The whole point of freedom of speech is to give speech to people you disagree with. We wouldn't need freedom of speech in the Constitution if it was for the speech we agree with, because nobody's trying to shut that down. So you have to defend all speech, not just what you think is right,
Yeah, what's funny about that is the only speech the left seems to defend is speech that actually is illegal, like calls to violence. They'll defend on their own side.
Yeah.
People they do all the time. You just get on Twitter. Like how many times have you guys personally been threatened with violence on Twitter? And that stuff doesn't get taken down. And then you say something as true and innocent as Ellen Page was in the movie Juno, and your account defended are taken down.
Yeah. Luckily, unless you're a big name, you can respawn.
What we saying, Cam?
I said my Ellen Page tweet was much worse than that.
What was yours? I'm curious now.
Well, I don't know. Are we going to survive the YouTube diversity hires if others said that tweet?
So the joke that I made was, if I masturbate to old pictures of Ellen Page, does that mean I'm dead yanking him?
Oh my God!
I told you it was worse. What do you expect?
Do you have one of those beep buttons? Right?
I wish I did. PJ, we're going to need a beep button for that. This is cut.
Did you go down for that, Cam? Did they take you down for that?
No. They took down my first account because Justin Trudeau said something real stupid, and I asked him if he'd ever considered eating shit and dying.
It was just an honest question.
It was a question.
Yeah.
Because I just said a certain human is a woman, and I lost my entire account.
You know what though? Like, this is funny because first of all, your tweet's hilarious, Cam. But second of all, I could see that being a legitimate question that the LGBTQ IDGAF community actually asks. Is it right? They came up with dead naming. Dead yanking doesn't sound that far off. So maybe they read your
hit that beep button.
Dead yanking is violence.
Oh,
it's actually.
I am way too wholesome for this show.
You guys are going to get us yanked off the air.
It's basically
goodness. Oh,
I don't even know how to follow that joke.
No, let's let it be dead, and we can move on from that. That is too much.
I'm crying. I'm laughing so hard.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Cam.
Thanks, Cam.
Not the hero we deserve, but the hero we need right now.
Speaking of social media, we had some revelations happen this week. A couple different fronts, YouTube and of course Facebook. And I think many people know about the Facebook stuff, which Mark Zuckerberg came out on Joe Rogan's podcast and talked about how the FBI approached him in helping to suppress the Hunter Biden story. But he mentioned it as Russian disinformation is what they were being warned about. YouTube, on the other hand, has now relaxed its policies, talking about the jab, talking about masks, and talking about other things, where many accounts were lost over the course of the last 2 years for people factually talking about the things now that we claimed 2 years ago. So those policies are being let up. And I was going to tweet this out the other day. I completely forgot about it, so I'll just say it here. Don't be surprised when there's the election in November and the Republicans take the House, that it will be okay to question the elections once again.
Absolutely.
Absolutely will be. I love the fact that now I can just come on here and say masks are ineffectual and never actually help stop the spread of COVID-19 or anything. We knew this in 2014. This is what's so crazy. There's so many stories. I know Frank covered this. I covered this as well, that doctors are suing these big tech giants because they were out there saying, hey, we actually have the data and the science that shows. Back in 2014, we did a study that showed that masks don't stop the spread of things like flu and cold and things like that. So it's going to be ineffectual against COVID-19, like it's ineffectual against everything except dribbling into your surgical patient while you have an open wound. Like that's what surgical masks are for.
Right. Surgery.
Yeah. But they knew this, and now they were silenced. They were taken out. Dan Bongino lost his channel because of that. I think Rand Paul lost it, his ability to be on YouTube because of that.
I got 2 strikes because of that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I had a Facebook group for 4 years. It was actually our 4th anniversary when they deleted the entire group because we said what all of them are saying now. Mm-hmm. And it's just incredible.
And they're not going back and reinstating anyone's accounts.
No, of course not. And we've already seen the shift in mainstream media where they're now placing the blame of the vaccine all on Trump now, that everybody had to go out there and get vaccinated because it was mandated by a lot of companies, by the federal government, and pressure by the federal government for companies to force their employees to take the jab. And now we're seeing a pivot in the mainstream media. There's articles being written already about it, how they're blaming the vaccine on Trump and laying all the effects, all the deaths and everything else that we talked about off air right before we came on at the feet of him. This is something that I think many people predicted, that if he did not distance himself from it, they were going to put it on him. Even Alex Jones recently came out and told Trump that he needed to distance himself away from the jab, like DeSantis had already done so prior.
Trump's biggest mistake ever was not allowing them to pick up the football when they did. Like, seriously, it was all, do you guys remember in 2020 in October and stuff like that? It was, hey, there's a vaccine that's going to be coming out if people want it. We rushed it through, and that was there. People like Kamala Harris going out there saying, I'll never take a vaccine that Trump made. We'll never take his vaccine. It's a terrible vaccine. Then as soon as Biden's in power, the vaccine's the most wonderful thing. And not only can you get it if you want it, which was the original thing, like, hey, we'll rush a vaccine out there. People know it's experimental, but if they want it, then they can take that and feel better about life. Then it was, we have to force this on everybody, and it was wonderful. And instead of Trump just letting them take this absolutely toxic football, he had to, his pride just would not let him let it go. And people like Frank, people like me have been saying, Trump's got to get off this train. He's got to.
This is Achilles' heel.
Hang themselves with this rope and let go of it.
Yeah.
Yep. His pride is absolutely his Achilles' heel. I love so many things about Trump, but he has been warned by the people who love him for a couple years now. Hey, man, can you just back off, like, shilling this vaccine? I know you're so proud of yourself for getting it through, but just look at the evidence and just stop. He won't.
No, he won't. He won't back off. And I remember him and Bill O'Reilly both got booed when they started talking about the vaccine. He was a little bit taken back and offended by it. He hadn't really talked about the vaccine much at the rallies since early 2021 when he was doing a couple of those rallies. He kind of touted it out there, but he hasn't really mentioned it much now. But he still hasn't distance himself away from it, saying, these individuals, pull the curtain back, show them everything that was happening behind the curtain, instead of allowing them to drag this albatross around his neck and let him sink with it.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like Trump at one point kind of shifted his messaging a little bit more from, I'm proud of what we did with Operation Warp Speed, but I'm not sure this vaccine's really that great. And then I don't know what happened, but they just went right back to shilling for it. And I'm actually curious about your guys' take on just the idea of something like Operation Warp Speed, because when it first was proposed, I didn't want the vaccine. But my thought was, look, there's people that have incurable diseases, cancer, leukemia, things like that. If we can make it so people could actually take, knowing full well it's experimental, take a vaccine or a treatment instead of having to wait 10 years for the FDA to approve something that might save their life. Like I was kind of okay with that. I was like, okay, yeah, this actually makes sense. I don't want it forced on me when it's experimental, especially. But the idea of letting people make that choice for themselves made sense to me. So I'm not even mad at Trump for the Operation Speed.
Yeah, I was always okay with the idea of leaving it to people to want to take it. But as soon as we knew where the road was going to go down when it was going to be rolled out, because we had already seen it play out beforehand with the mask, how people started mandating wherever you went. And the natural progression was only that the vaccine was going to be treated in the same fashion, because that was supposed to be the cure-all, right? And so for me, I was okay with the vaccine rollout. I didn't really care about it much to the effect of, okay, roll it out. If people want to go get it, fantastic, go grab it. If you don't, no big deal. But then we saw the writing on the wall prior to how they were already conditioning the public before that rollout. And mind you, a lot of people remember or might not remember that the FDA and the manufacturers for the vaccine held on to it until after the 2020 election. They didn't want to give Trump the win before that, by the way.
Yeah, then they tried to rebrand it as a Biden win too. So it's funny though, because now we're seeing the shift, and it's very clear why we're seeing the shift. I mean, if you look, and they're kind of having tacitly acknowledged that this vaccine's crap, that it's killing people, that that's why they're changing their policies. And you're seeing these articles, like Frank had mentioned. What does it say in the headline of this article? I just want to pull this up. I've got so many tabs pulled up. It's somewhere. I can't find it.
Well, let's shift back a little bit to the Zuckerberg interview he had with Rogan.
Sure.
Obviously,
play that clip. I've got it pulled up if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, pull it. And make sure that audio is running through correctly, because it was echoed last time you had ran audio.
All right, let me try. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, I think I've got it fixed now.
Okay. Nope.
No sound.
Like there was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
Had that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. I mean, basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election.
Can you pause it for a second?
And on notice that
this is the exact same thing in the interference by the FBI. Once again, just highlighting that they were actively, again, working against the Trump administration in every facet. The coup never stopped from the very beginning when Trump announced his candidacy back in 2015 until now, which we're now being revealed even through the 2020 election. That was very recorded in the Time magazine article of fortifying the election.
Yeah, and this story in particular goes further than the FBI as well. If you guys remember, there was 11 or how, I can't remember. They change the number all the time. At least 11 federal agencies that claimed outright that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. We know this to be unequivocally false now. So somehow all of these agencies were able to look at a laptop, which now, if you've seen the contents, not that I recommend you look at them, but I've seen them. It's pretty freaking clear that this is Hunter Biden doing some insanely illegal stuff. Just personally, but on top of that, with giving 10% to the big guy and all this stuff, you can find financial records and stuff in there. So there's no way that these agencies looked at the same evidence the rest of us have seen and came to the conclusion that this was fake Russian disinformation. They knew it was real. The FBI knew it was real. All these places knew it was real. And then they still had to go interfere with the elections by telling, Mark Zuckerberg and others to not share. So I'll play a little bit more of this clip, though.
Basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is we have if something's reported to us as potentially
shadow banning is what he's talking about. What he's about to talk about. This is something you talked about last stream, PJ, with shadow banning actually possibly being worse than actually being deplatformed. Explain why.
Well, I think shadow banning is worse as far as creators go, for sure. And with news organizations, it's definitely going to bring down the reach. It's going to make people think that it's disinformation on a legitimate story because they're not seeing it everywhere. I think that's why shadow banning is bad for them. But shadow banning, I think, is particularly bad for creators because you put out content and you see how it does and you think you're doing well and you adjust to try to make your content better. And once you start seeing your videos downtrend and downtrend and downtrend, you get it in your head that there's something that you're doing wrong. It's a Pavlovian response. You can't help it. And all of a sudden you have no idea how to make good content anymore because you're in your mind, you're like, hey, I'm making content. This many people should be able to see it. This is how it works. This is how shares and likes and things like that work as far as the algorithms go. And you just end up not being able to make good content anymore and you just doubt yourself. It's a whole thing with creators. But as far as news stories go, I think for them, it's just the fact that people like, I haven't heard of that story. You've heard of it? It must be, some shady, stupid website. So
let me ask Cam or Katie Zed or even Abby that do you think this is a CYA on Zuckerberg's part?
I'm trying to figure out his motive here because I mean, what's his agenda in saying this? Because wait, what?
I think he's trying to separate himself because if you go further in the clip, he's like, well, we're not the ones fact checking. We let other people fact check. So I think he's trying to distance himself from what's going on his platform, which if you're going to be the arbiter of what's true and false, it doesn't matter if you give it to somebody else to do, you hire somebody else to do it, or you do it yourself. It's still happening on his platform, which is why Facebook people just aren't on there. I haven't been on my Facebook in like a year,
I think, oh, sorry, go ahead, Abby.
Well, if you look at some of how Zuckerberg handled this in the past, he used to stand up a lot more for free speech. And I think that the pressure got to him. And you start to wonder, like, is this guy actually conservative or a little bit sympathetic and then just a coward? But I think also he knows who pays his bills. And some of the things that do the best on his platform are the Daily Wire and Bongino and some of those. So I don't know. I think he's confusing.
I think you're right. I think he's a confusing character because I'm not sure he's like fully bought into wanting to destroy and censor all Republicans and conservatives. But I think a lot of it is cover your ass because he's got he's throwing Twitter under the bus here. He sees that their stocks are dropping massively. I mean, Facebook is a dinosaur at this point. Like nobody's going to be on Facebook in 5 years. I'm like you said, I don't know if anybody in this chat or on this panel uses Facebook on a regular basis like we used to. I surely don't.
I don't.
But I don't. I think that he sees that and he's like, well, look how much better we are than Twitter. Also, thanks, Movie Dog, for the buying us around.
Well, I mean, he's the minister of truth, but he doesn't want to admit that he's the one doing it.
Is he the one doing it, or is he really being pressured by the FBI? But I think Jen Psaki alluded to this idea that they were pressuring Facebook to take down this information. Is he just being?
And if the government is suppressing freedom of speech, that's an issue. Everyone's like, oh, well, they're a private company. They can do what they want. But if it's the government telling them to do that, now the government is suppressing the First Amendment.
There was a article out just recently talking about this with Twitter as well, with them suppressing the White House in communication with Twitter to take down things or censor certain things that was damaging to the regime.
Yeah, I mean, that's what also was in that article I brought up earlier about the doctors suing. What they were saying is that it wasn't just Facebook and Twitter. It was at the behest of Fauci and at the behest of the Biden administration, at the behest of the CDC. So this is not even like, it's something we all know is happening, that when anybody says Facebook or Twitter is a private company, so it doesn't matter, we've all seen it publicly. I mean, after the 2016 election, and this goes back to Mark Zuckerberg, he was brought before Congress and they berated him for false news, being allowed to be on his platform. They claimed that he allowed these Russian bots to say things negative about Hillary. They kind of ignored the fact that there was just as much negative Trump or pro-Hillary Russian bot stuff going on. But yeah, I mean, we all know that the government is coercing all these platforms and what they're allowed to say. And it's not just the American government, it's other governments too.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've now had time to think about it. What Zuckerberg's angle may be. So do you remember they were trying to regulate social media, and Zuckerberg specifically wanted Facebook to be regulated. when he went in and he had all these conversations, he talked to people about it, because that can help drive out any competition. Gab can't make it, Truth, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And so now that I'm thinking about it, by him shifting the blame in this censorship stuff that people don't want, then now him saying that it's the FBI will make certain people go, oh, so the FBI can just do what they want. We need regulations. We need oversight. I think he's trying to get that regulation that he's wanted for several years now.
Interesting.
I agree.
That's a astute point, because remember last year they had the Facebook whistleblower show up and came in before Congress and was basically talking about the same thing, talking about social media needs more regulation.
I think that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the fakest story of all time. It was a whistleblower that went out before them and was like, yeah, Facebook, the only problem with them is that they don't have enough government oversight. There's not enough government oversight on these other platforms either. Why don't you do something about that? It was, I think Facebook was in on that.
That was about as fake as the hick that was in front of Congress inside a jacked up truck, saying that he had a bomb inside of it. Do you guys remember that story from last year?
Yeah, glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Sure.
Never heard anything from that guy ever since then.
Nope.
That went away pretty fast.
Yeah.
Is it trying to get rid of competition, or is it like just tell us what to do? Like, just govern me harder, daddy. But seriously, like, people just don't like to take responsibility for their own stuff, and I think maybe Mark is in this position where he just doesn't want to carry the weight of it. He just wants rules.
If you believe the origin story of Mark Zuckerberg, he doesn't like to share.
PJ, you should. That's a great question for BaseBot 3 to know whether or not Mark Zuckerberg is lying or wants more Facebook regulations, government regulations. Let's ask BaseBot.
Yep.
And in the meantime, while he's checking on BaseBot's response, don't forget to check out our Twitter account, Last American Pubcast. If you have an interesting guest that you'd like to have come on, go follow us over on Twitter at Last American Pubcast. You can find us, and of course, you can share memes over there. You can make memes of the show if you want to meme our fantastic fact checker, Bean the fact checker, which isn't here yet. We'll be in later.
Can I ask you guys a question? Has anybody else tried to talk to Blenderbot 3?
No.
Yes.
Okay, Abby did. I don't know what it is, but like I've seen other people talk to this bot and it'll answer their questions. Every time I've ever asked this thing a question, it says something about cars. So just to give you a quick thing of what I got on, before it said hi to me, it said, I took my car to the show this weekend. Every time I got on, it just talks about working on cars. So I said, does Mark Zuckerberg want more censorship? I don't think so. My job is working on cars. What is I don't know. Is it just me reading something in my algorithm that's like, this guy only wants to talk about cars? Because every time I've ever tried this, I change the subject. It's like, yeah, but I really want to talk about cars. And
have you been talking about cars recently? Maybe it's like, when you get those ads.
Yeah. But what's funny is that I said, can you please stop talking about cars? I want to talk about something else. And it's like, oh, fine. But, I really like cars. And then the question is like, yeah, but I'm working on my car with my dad. Maybe it's broken for me. I don't know. I'll keep trying.
One thing real quick. I think that I forget who said it just then, but that Zuckerberg doesn't like to share. I think that that's why he wants regulation, because at the point when they were really pushing for this, people were, after they bought Instagram, they were asking for Facebook to be split apart into different companies so that one man wouldn't have the whole pie, right? Anti-monopoly stuff. And if he got those regulations in and he was regulated by the government, he wouldn't have to worry about that split anymore. That's what I think is behind that.
Yeah. You see the same thing with big companies like Walmart and Amazon, where they don't complain about these regulations that affect them, but they kill small businesses because they can survive it, but the small businesses can't. They take out their competition.
Well, just like the 2020 shutdowns, where they shut down all the mom and pop stores, and they allowed Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, and Walmart to remain open.
Of course they did.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you talking about that. Like, whenever people talk about, capitalism failing in this or that or the other, I'm like, do you really think we're living in a capitalist system more than a corporatist system? I mean, look what happened, like you said, in 2020. Is it really capitalism when your local hardware store can't be open, but Home Depot can for the same reason? There's these
real capitalism hasn't been tried.
Real capitalism it's not being tried right now, that's for sure.
We had a little mom and pop Ace Hardware in my small town I live in, and after all of the COVID stuff, they're gone. They're gone. And Home Depot and Lowe's is still here. So
yeah, when we were in Pennsylvania when the COVID stuff started, and we decided that we didn't want to be there, and so we moved near the end of March. We decided to move on March 17th of 2020, and on the way down, when it was just starting, I saw 3 family restaurants with signs out saying it's been a good 50 years, it's been a good 30 years, but we're closing down.
It's so sad.
Ridiculous.
And
I do want to say I saw North Arrow Coffee in the chat, and he sent me some coffee, and I want to say it was delicious, and thank you for your service.
Yeah, Rob's a great guy. We're gonna have him on soon.
I drink Rob coffee every time I'm streaming, so I just hit me up if you need my address.
Yeah, I should say about North Arrow coffee. It is so good that you can leave it in the pot overnight and reheat it, and then dump a bunch of creamer in it, and it'll still taste good.
Listen. Abby doesn't actually like coffee. She likes creamer with a splash of coffee in it. So
I'm with you.
That's a fact. I called that out earlier today on Twitter.
It's called a latte. She's fancy.
And that is why if you do end up going to northarrowcoffee.co, you should use code PJ10 for 10% off and not Abby10.
You guys.
She's not even a coffee drinker. So, little
She's
shout
a
out.
creamer drinker.
She is a creamer drinker, yeah.
What was that Irrational Delight that you used when you poured into your...
Big fan of... They have the perfect combination of milk and sugar for me.
Have you ever seen that Office episode where Michael Scott starts his own company, and he's driving the van, and he has this big old thing that looks like coffee, and Pam's like, "Oh, is that coffee?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she drinks. She's like, "Oh, it tastes like milk and sugar." He's like, "Yep, milk and sugar." That's Abby.
That is Abby.
If we could get that clip and put Abby's face on it, that'd be amazing.
One of the meme people in chat needs to work on that. I like it. Did you see that the FBI now has responded to what Mark Zuckerberg said on Rogan's podcast?
I saw that. Do you have the story?
I do. Let me see. I can put up on screen really quick. Oh, nope. And there we go. So it says the day after Mark Zuckerberg said that Facebook limited a polarizing story ahead of the 2020 election because of the FBI warning, the federal agency said it can only alert a private entity of a potential threat and not require it to take action. I'm sorry, just right based off that note, it's so funny because this is how the government works, and it's not new. This is how the government's always worked. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the meddlesome priest. It was King Henry VIII, I think. That was like, I can't order this priest to be killed, but it'd just be really nice if something, if he wasn't bothering me anymore, if somebody would do something about this meddlesome priest. I'm not going to order his death or anything. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It says in an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast made available Thursday, Zuckerberg said, although the FBI didn't specifically name a New York Post article about the Hunter Biden laptop, it fit the pattern of what the FBI warned about. The Facebook co-founder said the FBI is a legitimate institution. Oh, that's how you know he's fake news. The warning prompted him to take that seriously. Yeah, so it's exactly what I said. He's like, look, they're no joke. So I'm going to take this pretty serious. This threat. I mean, warning seriously.
What do you do? What do you do if the FBI comes and says, "Hey, just a suggestion, but take it down"?
Is this before or after I reload?
Yeah, exactly.
Mid reload, yeah, like in a movie action scene where you're duck behind a crate and you're having a conversation.
It's just there's just too much power dynamic. You'd think the left would understand that the power dynamic is off there.
I was about to say that. After Me Too, you think they would actually understand that because with why can't I think of his name? The comedian. It wasn't the fact that these women didn't want it; it's the fact that he was their boss. Louis C.K.
Yeah, you'd think they'd understand that, but then they put out Cuties, and I was convinced that they didn't understand it, in fact.
Yeah.
It's okay when it's kids, don't you know?
It really bothered me that there was conservatives that were trying to defend it as in, well, if you watch it all the way to the end, it's kind of against sexualizing children. I'm like,
the whole
yeah,
movie's
well, if
about
I drowned puppies and then came out and said, well, I drowned puppies in this video to show you that it's bad to drown puppies. It would not make it okay.
Yeah, you still drowned puppies.
They still sexualize the women, the girls that were in the movie.
Yeah,
right.
Those are real children whose parents made them child actors, which I don't know why you would do that, but
Because they're abusive.
yeah.
I mean, that's what all it comes down to. The child actor thing, all the trans stuff. It comes down to there's these wino housewives that just want to be. They want to have something to brag about on social media.
They're living vicariously through their children because they didn't make it. They wanted to be, they did one commercial when they were 12 and they didn't do anything after that. And they think, oh, well, if my kid could make it, then I could be her manager and they could, retire off of their child.
You see that in Britney Spears' dad, where he just clung to it and made a ton of money off her, and now he won't let it go.
Almost all child actors, all of them. Like, look at that even that kid on YouTube, the toy review kid. Those
Ryan or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! If you go to Walmart, every other toy is Ryan's World.
Yeah, what you're starting to see in some aspects is some of these child actors are actually coming out and starting to lend a voice to what took place behind the scenes in a lot of these shows. I know Jenny McCarthy, I think, or McCartney. She used to play on that Nickelodeon show.
McCurdy.
McCurdy, thank you. iCarly, and also there was another actress that was just out there protesting in front of Nickelodeon just a couple days ago as well. That was a child star, and
I remember that. She said, yeah, it's like Hollywood is sexualizing young girls. It's disgusting.
Yeah, you
talk about it. Yeah,
you can't tell me Demi Lovato wasn't messed with.
Well, obviously,
Like,
I mean,
she's
look
out of
how
her
her
damn
head's
mind.
messed. Yeah,
This has been happening for years. What is that Blue Lagoon movie? Where was it? I forget the actress's name. Brooke Shields, was it? Yeah.
Brooke Shields.
She was like 14 when they it's just disgusting.
But even before that, her mom did it because when she was 10, she had a photographer take fully nude photos of her daughter and publish them.
Absolutely disgusting. Those people belong in jail and should earn the death penalty.
You know what's the craziest part about this though is that we look at media now and we see what's on TV for our kids. And it's disgusting. It's propaganda. It's like right in your face, all of it. You can't even watch the new Jurassic Park kids TV show without it throwing LGBT stuff at you.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't start there. It's not just the visible stuff. It's all the hidden stuff. Think about every actor or actress that came out of the Mickey Mouse Club. The Mickey Mouse Club was one of the most innocent shows on TV, and every single one of them is screwed in the head.
Yeah.
Spears came from, is where Christina Aguilera came from.
And it's not even just the girls, like the Corey Haim and Corey Feldman and like all of them. Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. It's truly heartbreaking. And I think that we get it in our heads that these Hollywood people, they're just Hollywood trash. And we just, they're all out of their minds and we don't feel for them the way that we would feel if it happened to our neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
I just wonder when Macaulay Culkin will finally tell the truth because if you saw his downgrade in the middle of his he just is kind of coming back up now, looking human and looking not like a meth addict. There's no way he wasn't messed with. It's endless.
Michael Jackson. I mean, he admitted that he would cuddle in bed with Macaulay Culkin. Right. That was all it was, according to Michael Jackson. But yeah, we know he's been abused.
There's a reason why all these child actors end up being drug addicts because they're self-medicating because they're messed up mentally because of what happened to them as children.
Right.
Well, not such a dark topic as we are going to leave this one here just now.
Yeah.
But did you guys see? I know many people didn't because he probably drew about 30 people into this gymnasium earlier this week. But Joe Biden came out. He was out there. I guess they highly medicated him to come out there to try to perform in front of these people. But where he said that he doesn't respect these MAGA Republicans. Did you guys see this?
I don't think
dehumanization. I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the clip. I'll go ahead and play it for you guys.
You'd think if the Republicans really cared about reducing inflation, they would have voted for the Inflation Reduction Act.
There's that one. And
It was a green act. It was like everything in there was about green energy.
and here's the next clip.
I don't respect these MAGA Republicans.
Doesn't respect them. And this goes right on to things. We have Charlie Crist, used to be the former governor of Florida. He is now the Democrat challenger to Ron DeSantis here in the state of Florida for the for the midterms. And he just came out and said that he doesn't want any Ron DeSantis voters to vote for him. Again, the same kind of rhetoric. Seems like what they're wanting to adopt and hitch their wagons to in order to alienate Republicans and make them, obviously they've very used terms like domestic terrorists and stuff like that on media outlets like MSNBC, CNN, and all of these places, labeling people who were Trump voters or supported Trump or even just your regular in-the-mill Republican. And in 2 weeks, we'll actually be having individual, his name is the Fake News Critic. He'll be joining us in 2 weeks to talk about how he documents all of these fraudsters in the media and how they have continued their war against Republicans in the mainstream media. So we'll be hearing a little bit from him about this. But guys' reaction to this, is this what we're going to be seeing as we lead up closer to the midterms?
It shouldn't be surprising to anybody that the anti-human left is dehumanizing Republicans. I mean, I know nobody ever wants to make this comparison because it's overused, but and you can make it in other cases, I guess, but I'm just too flustered right now.
You mean like the Mao movement in China?
I was going to say, like, the Maoist movement, like Hitler, like all these things. You take a certain subset of people, you take a group of people, and you.
I'm tired of using the Hitler thing because
I know
the communists have murdered way more people. Not that the Nazis didn't murder a lot of people, but the communists have murdered way more people than the Nazis did.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
Just, I get really sick and tired of people. Oh, it's just like Nazi. No, it's just like the communists. Mm-hmm. They read a little book to something that's happened within the last 50 years, 60 years.
Mao killed way more people than Hitler. It's not even close. If you actually study Mao, it was far worse than anything. And it's like you're making comparisons between two insanely awful people. But there's a whole reason why they want to cover up the communist agenda, because we've had communists in our education system since the 1940s. So they've made Hitler the only boogeyman that you're allowed to talk about. So you're 100% right on that, Frank. I've been studying Mao a lot more lately, and it's insane. But the other thing I was going to say is you actually beat my challenge. And I'm kind of upset. I said, somebody show me a Democrat who comes out and talks about the Inflation Reduction Act reducing inflation. And Biden must have missed his note cards and didn't talk about his green energy policies. He said if you wanted to reduce inflation, you should vote for the Inflation Reduction Act. He totally missed the memo. This is how you know it's a Biden moment right there, because not a single Democrat has ever talked about the how it would reduce. He didn't say how, but he said it would. That's more than any of the rest.
I think Abby's exactly right when she said that they're trying to make us less than human, so that way when violence breaks out, it'll be all right. Because if you're less than, when the fight breaks out, they'll have no problem sucker punching you or shooting you or whatever it is.
We saw that take place in the 2020 lead up, especially places like Seattle.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's the same thing that the KKK tries to do or the Nazis tried to do to the Jews. Like it's the exact same thing, and they're doing it to us now.
It's every regime in all of history. I mean, Romans called Christians dogs before they execute.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I guess Jan PhD is correct. I mean, us as a country has killed more people than some of the communists. So I mean,
yeah, with abortion, we've killed as many as Mao. Yeah, Mao just did it in a shorter amount of time. I think he starved like 50 million of his own citizens to death in 3 years. So
yeah, and he encouraged the killing of the older generation as well.
Absolutely,
and then tearing down the statues and things like that and replacing them with him.
Yeah. I mean that issue's still going on today. That split between the old Chinese ruling party and the Maoists, because that's what Taiwan is. Taiwan is where they ran to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
when they say real communism hasn't been tried and communism has been failed because we just never did it right, what they really mean is we didn't kill enough people last time. Mm-hmm. We didn't completely beat out the spirit of freedom last time.
You know how I know you're 100% right? Because that was Marx's idea. This is something that when people say we need pure communism, we just got off on the track. Just read what Marx said. Marx said that you actually had to kill a portion of your population before communism could ever be implemented. So this is in its foundation is a genocidal idea.
Yep. And you're right, because this all ties back into climate change as well, with their religion of wanting to reduce the world's population, and all of these people that spout that type of line where we need to reduce the population in order to save Mother Gaia or whatever. They're all linked back to Marxist or communism in some shape, way, or form.
Yeah, I mean, most of the ideas that we look at today that are bad come from Marxism at some point. And I think what's even weirder is the climate change stuff. It's on such a religious level that it's more like ancient paganist, what's the word I'm looking for? Druidism.
Yes, Mother Gaia.
Yeah.
This got depressing so fast, guys. This is the most depressing stream I've ever been on.
Sorry.
I was just telling that one person that wanted to come on and debate us and said, this is a pub for laughter and fun, and here we are in dark and dreary, like I want to bury myself in their dream.
Now you're making me feel bad, Abby, because the next story I was going to pull up, I'm trying to think of how to make it funny.
Oh no!
I don't think I can.
You know what? We
just have Cam tweet about it. I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah,
I can't take this one.
You know what we should do before you go into that is actually give Katie Z a moment to talk about her show that she hosts on her channel.
Because it's all about murder, which is totally.
I know. Well, I do a true crime sort of show. It's not. I noticed. I love true crime, and I noticed in that space there's a lot of like really liberal people, and it bothered me because they'll say dumb stuff like, you know, if we only had stronger gun laws, this would have never happened. And I like to look at the morality versus the law. Like, obviously, some stuff is legal that's totally morally wrong, and vice versa. But tomorrow, I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. Let me just plug my stream for tomorrow. I'm going to be covering the assassination of Kim Jong-nam, who allegedly was killed by his brother using a couple of young ladies who were tricked into it. So there's a lot of commentary. You know, how dumb young teenage type girls can be when they're trying to get clout on YouTube, and how awful of a person Kim Jong-un is. So join me tomorrow on my channel at 4:00, and we'll talk all about it. I do a call-in segment too. So my Discord is always linked in the description of the video. So if it's a subject that I'm covering that you're really passionate about or you know something about, I have a segment at the end where people can call in and give their take on stuff too. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we want to get Katie Z to 100. She's so close to 100. So follow that link and go get her to 100, please. She wants that cool little nifty custom URL that she'll be able to do on there. She's so close, so close. If how many are you away?
I think like just under 20. I think I need like 18.
We need 25. We need 25 of you guys to go over there and subscribe. Go do it.
There's 337 people in here, so surely.
The first hurdle on YouTube is to get a unique URL, and I've been doing this since January, and I'm so close. I'm so close.
And it's a really great show. I watch it every week. I've called in a couple of times.
You have.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. So the one you're doing tomorrow sounds super interesting. The only question I have is there going to be like clips and references to the interview, or
I haven't done my tabs for tomorrow yet, but there's so many. This story though, I'm telling you guys, it's so good. You really should, even if you don't sub, just tune in for tomorrow, because like there's little when I started digging into this, it just fascinated me so much. But like one of the things I was telling PJ the other day is this happened in Malaysia, and the Malaysian government accidentally notified the wrong Korean embassy. So South Korea broke the news to the world because Malaysia told the wrong embassy that that Kim Jong-nam had been assassinated. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That if you guys want to check that out, I do like true crime stories. I do like watching some on TV, but I definitely want to watch more of Katie Zed's, especially to support somebody of the community. Yes.
Congratulations, you have 100 subscribers.
Did that really just happen?
Yep.
Yay!
Wow.
You guys are awesome.
I'm gonna cry. Thank you guys.
Take a drink for that. There we go.
Thank you, everyone who just subbed to my channel. I really deeply appreciate that. It's like I've been going for so long, and you have no idea how much this means to me.
The last American pub where dreams come true.
I'll have to come back on when I get that plaque. What is that, like 100,000 or something like that? I'll come back on to your show and celebrate that.
Yeah, she's too big to come back on the show until then. She might even just leave midstream. Be like, I don't need to get.
Wow, that's amazing. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, no, Katie is awesome. Talking about true crime, I am gonna do this story anyway because I think Cam will find a way to make this funny. So,
Okay.
all the pressure's on you.
No pressure or anything.
Yeah, no pressure or anything. But did you guys see that this? Do I still have this pulled up? A Florida duo pled guilty to conspiracy for the Ashley Biden diary theft.
This story should be way bigger outside of the theft and how they're framing this, because what's the contents inside this? If I hate doing the whataboutism, but it rings true. If this was Trump's Ivanka's diary, and they found what was in this diary the same as they found what's in Joe Biden's daughter's diary, we would have impeachment. They would be raiding his house to take him to jail right now.
The whataboutism isn't even a wrong argument to make here. It's entirely true. And every time you search a story, it's weird. You can find like some stuff that the story was broke before. You can find some stuff if you search Ashley Biden right now that tells what I was about to say, what you're referencing to. But every mainstream story right now is literally just this Florida duo is bad because they stole Ashley Biden's diary. So I'll read a little bit of this, and I want to just give you one little thing that's in her diary. It might, because the argument before was that it wasn't really her diary, and now they're prosecuting somebody because it is her diary. So the real story here is that this actually is her diary. So what I'm going to read comes from what we now know is confirmed her diary, and that's not the headline for some reason. And it says a man and woman in Florida pleaded guilty in Manhattan federal court Thursday for stealing a diary that belonged to, not alleged to be, belonged to President Biden daughter Ashley, and selling it to conservative outlet Project Veritas. Amy Harris, 40, and Robert Kurlander, 58, each cop to one count of conspiracy to commit interstate transportation of stolen property over the theft. So that's the story. That's what you're going to get from every mainstream site. But the real story, I think, comes from the fact that we now know what they told us before, that we're not going to say it actually is her diary. Now they're saying that in her diary. Just one little snippet. I have always been boy crazy, hypersexualized at a young age. I remember somewhat being sexualized with a family member. Remember having sex with friends at a young age, and showers with my dad, which were probably not appropriate.
Yeah, that right there. They should be taking Biden out of the White House in handcuffs right now for that just line. And we're going to investigate this because obviously there has been some abuse has taken place. And this is something interesting as well. They were shopping this to the Trump campaign back in 2020. And they wanted to use this in order to entrap, obviously, Trump with this and raid him. And everything we're seeing that happening right now is what they wanted to do to him before the 2020 election.
Because the mainstream narrative around this diary is always that it's bad that it was stolen. That is the entire
Not the contents. Not the contents.
Not the fact that it's a written allegation of Joe Biden being molesting his daughter. That's not the issue here. It's literally written allegation. Joe Biden molested his daughter from a firsthand source, his daughter herself.
Yeah.
You've seen the way he's kissed his granddaughter, which is totally inappropriate, by the way.
And sniffed everybody else
because she knows how bad it is.
This is the one thing about the story that always drives me insane is people will say, well, there's allegations that Joe Biden's creepy, but blah, 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 or the allegations, or it's just a conspiracy, or this or that. I'm like, you can take all that away. You could even take this diary away. You could take any of the allegations away and watch what he's done on camera. That's all you have to do. You just have to watch what he's done in public, on camera, to kids. That guy should be in handcuffs.
There's supercuts of it. You don't even have to go through all of this. Like there's 10-minute long supercuts of him touching inappropriately. Like the sniffing thing is very weird to me.
Cuomo charged
right here. This is his granddaughter. Yeah. Who kisses their kid? Who kisses their kid like that? Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
I could do a crime show about this. I could just read the diary. It would be one of my episodes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, you can just see what he does on camera, and that's bad enough. But I'm waiting for Cam's funny take on this.
Yeah, please lighten the mood.
Time to come up with
funny take about Joe Biden being a pedophile, huh? I don't actually have a funny thing right now, but I do. This does remind me of the reaction to like WikiLeaks and some of the leaked emails from the DNC with Podesta, because they never talked about what was in those emails. They talked about they were stolen. Period. They never admitted to any, but they charged have as many people as they could for stealing them. That's what my mind went to immediately. But yeah, don't touch your kids, please. Like, just if you think, hey, I want to make out with my granddaughter, don't.
That's simple.
And if this is what he's doing in front of cameras, like this is what he's doing in front of cameras, what is he doing behind closed doors? Well, we know now because of the diary, but if you're that comfortable, like there's the one that really gets me. There's the one where the girl is like pulling away. And he goes in further. And if you're doing that when you know there's people around, there's cameras around, you're in public, like what's happening? If he was behind closed doors with that same girl, it breaks my heart to think about what's happening.
Yeah. So check this out. That same rally we had talked about earlier with Biden. Did you guys see the heckler that was in that rally?
Yes. That guy's a hero.
I was just waiting for a "Let's go, Brandon" moment as well. that didn't come, at least in the audio. But the video says Joe Biden heckled at his own rally. You stole the election. So we come down here. I think this is the clip here. So let's take a listen.
All down politics of MAGA Republicans continues to be a drumbeat. But no. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go. That's okay.
Joe Biden's like, you ain't wrong, but
folks,
he just wanders away.
He heard the ice cream truck.
No boundaries. But we never gave up. We never gave in. And we're delivering for the American people now. And now, even our critics have been forced to acknowledge real progress.
So let's see. I think they have a actual video of him actually being drug out. Where is it at? No, I guess not. This one didn't have the video of him actually being drug out, but it's some dude. But that was such a boss moment.
Yeah. I think this guy's going to end up in a J6 gulag. That's all I'm saying.
We joke about it, but it's awful that we're at a point in our country where there are political prisoners who are getting ridiculous amounts of jail time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was what was going on for, not immigrants, foreigners in Guantanamo Bay forever, still is. So, I mean, it's always a matter of time before they test it out on the people. And, COVID was a stress test. COVID was to see what people would do, how far they would go, and how long they would stay with the script before they really fought back. And, unfortunately, I don't think many people fought back, but what's his name? DeSantis, the governor of my state, did stand up. And
Are we neighbors?
Maybe.
Oh, I like it. I like Cam.
The American people definitely failed on the COVID stress test for sure. And I mean, I live in Georgia, and I saw it here in Georgia. And if people are standing in line 6 feet apart wearing masks here, it's an issue.
Right.
Yeah. I'd like to make a mention. Bean, our fact checker.
Oh, that's Boots. This is Boots. This is our camera knocker over.
That's not our fact checker.
Bean is the floofy whiter one. She'll be around.
I had this. I wanted to show you guys real quick. Where did it go?
Did Coca-Cola ever tell your cat to be less white? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, it happens. We don't talk about it though.
We've been missing our other co-host, our fourth co-host, Tom, for a while. Yeah, many of you guys might know he got married. I just want to show him what dire straits this guy is in. While we're in here slaving away here at the Pubcast, what Tom is up to. Check out Tom.
Oh, look at this! Look at this guy.
Check him out.
Oh man,
I'm really jealous, actually. Like,
what a guy!
I need a vacation so bad.
He's already got the dad sandals. I love it.
He just needs socks with those.
Yeah, after a year of marriage, they'll have socks.
We could probably meme this. We could use this as a template for a meme.
We could actually put some socks on him.
I do want to respond to Walter, who said that they're still wearing masks in Florida. Not really. Maybe in Miami. But like living in Florida where I am, the person who's wearing a mask is now considered the freak.
Yeah, they're the minority.
Yeah.
I can attest to that being in Florida as well. The individuals you see that are running around still wearing masks are far and few between. They're definitely not the majority in the state. And they are all given very long looks as they walk by with their mask on. But hey, if you want to cover up your pie hole, go right ahead. Who am I to stop you?
They even are in Michigan. And, there was a point that like Michigan's way more liberal than Florida, I think. But like if you see someone with a mask on, you're like, what the hell is this freak up to?
Yeah. I was forced to put a mask on at a doctor's office the other day. And I was like, I was so mad, but I had to see the doctor. So I did.
I had to have a physical for work last week. And it was the same thing. I was like, masks really here? Like,
we're still doing this.
Your field.
Yeah,
I live a little bit in the DC area, and I see it a lot. Good third of the people in the grocery store are wearing them.
That's just weird. They were weird like day one. They're like really weird now.
Yeah.
There was something that Katie said earlier in the show that I was thinking about because we were talking about masks and things like that. And you said that none of these people are going to get an apology from YouTube. And they're not going to get an apology or reinstate their channels and things like that. And I know if people watch my show Wartime Propaganda, I've said this before, but I think this is an important thing to understand, is that it's not about the truth. It's not about finding out the truth ahead of time. It's not even about, you're not allowed to be right ahead of time. And people say, you get conservatives or conspiracy theorists are just 6 months ahead. Now it seems like we're 6 minutes ahead because it's just happening so fast. Yeah, but it was never about whether it was true or not. It's always been about saying what the party wants you to say. It's the one thing that everybody gets wrong about 1984. They make the joke 2 + 2 = 5. And if you read the whole book at the end, the guy who's being tortured finally says, yes, 2 + 2 = 5. And then they torture him again because the answer they want is 2 + 2 = whatever the party tells you it equals. Mm-hmm. So it has nothing to do with them being right or them finding out that Dan Bongino was right or them finding out that we were right. It's that you weren't saying what you were allowed to say or supposed to say in that moment. And that's exactly they're just going to shift the goalposts again. So next week, next month, it'll be another thing that we all know is a lie, but we're supposed to say it, or we'll have our shadows banned or shadow banned or whatever. So
it's about falling in line.
Right.
Yeah.
Conforming and of course boot looking.
I just was thinking that because Cam said it was a stress test, and it's still a stress test. That I think Glenn Beck said this in the book, the COVID, or what was it called, The Great Reset. He was talking about, and it's something I've noticed, and I was talking about even before I read that book, is anytime that there's not a fear narrative in place, watch for it to be climate change. That is their intermediate fear tactic always. Anytime that something falls apart, the climate change agenda is back in full swing. And as soon as that starts losing steam and it's not keeping people in line enough, they're going to come up with another fear tactic. They'll come up with monkeypox. They'll come up with something else. So you know that climate change is always going to be, there's been here since the 1970s when it was global cooling and then global warming. And then, and the climate changes. Who knew?
Yeah. And you're right, because we were just talking about this, my wife and I, today on the way back from Jacksonville. We were talking about how a very calm hurricane season we've had thus far in Florida.
I hope you knocked on wood.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because of me.
Yeah, and because
I'm hurricane proof. Yeah, I've lived in Florida for 3 years recently, and then I was in Florida for 4 years before, never one hurricane. So you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Cam.
Yeah.
But the narrative was going into hurricane season that they were ramping up. This was going to be the most active hurricane season on record, and you're going to see some massive storms. And of course, they hype it up every hurricane season. If you've ever lived in Florida, you know the fear that they try to instill into Floridians about hurricanes. And most of us were like, we roll our eyes at it because we're like, okay, whatever, type deal.
Well, the issue with that is I've never lived in Florida, but I managed at my previous job properties in Florida, everywhere from South Delray Beach all the way up to Pensacola. And what happens when they do this every year is then when the hurricanes are really coming, people don't do anything. They stay, and then that's how you end up with all these people dying, like in Katrina, because they get warned so much about it that they start ignoring the warnings.
It's a boy who cried wolf thing.
Absolutely. Yes, exactly.
Well, you were talking about how there's always a fear thing, and they go back to climate change. But the opposite side of that coin is they always have a moral superiority thing that they can give people. So, for a long time it was COVID, and it lasted a long time. They milked the hell out of that because, I'm wearing the mask. I got the vaccine. I'm better than you. I care about people. You don't care about people, etc. And then when everything started dismantling a little bit with the COVID stuff and people were pushing back on this concept, all of a sudden, there's a war in Ukraine. You have to stand with Ukraine. There's your moral superiority.
Yeah.
So right now, I think we're in the middle. I think they don't really have a moral superiority thing at this moment. And so I'm really curious to see what the sequel to Ukraine is.
That's kind of what I was saying is like, it's funny because they keep trying things that are not sticking. The monkeypox thing didn't stick because everybody realized this is
we
just
beamed them to death on that one.
And with the hurricanes, we all know that they're controlling the weather with the chemtrails anyway. So like they're going to do what they want.
HARP.
Yeah. And speaking of HARP and conspiracy theories, Abby has a new show with TJ. You want to talk about that for a second?
Sure. We're launching this new show called Conspiracy Pilled, where what we're going to do is just cover stuff. We're not going to tell you what to believe. We're just going to say, look, this is a weird thing, and these are the things that don't line up, and let's just talk about it. Let's talk about why people believe this conspiracy theory, even if we're not really into it. Like, why do people find this so compelling? And I'm really, really excited about it.
Talk about the facts, talk about what people are saying, give our opinions a little bit. But yeah, it's not one of those shove it down your throat that every conspiracy is real, or on the opposite side, you've got all those ones that are like, everybody that believes in anything that the government didn't tell them it's true is an idiot. So,
and do you have a trailer for this?
We do.
Here's a trailer for you guys if you want to see it. Sorry, what did you say, Frank?
Yeah, just talking about the trailer. Why don't you play it for everybody?
Yeah, I'll play the trailer for you guys.
How about you play the trailer?
How about I guys, be cool.
Yeah, I have an idea. Let's play the trailer.
I vote yes. Trailer.
The lead singer of the enormously popular rock band Nirvana is dead. Apparently, he was a suicide.
Breaking news out of Texas, Bigfoot is real. According to a group of researchers, they call themselves the Sasquatch Genome Project.
And what have Herbert Hoover, Art Linkletter, Jack London, and Richard Nixon all had in common? And they've all been members of the exclusive all-male Bohemian Club.
This morning, investigators began sifting through the embers of the Waco compound, searching for the bodies of more than 80 cult members believed killed in the fire.
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order, can emerge.
Documentary filmmaker Linda Howe refers to the mutilations as an alien harvest.
It's not a lie. If you believe it.
All right, so that is the trailer for Conspiracy Pilled. We're launching this on September 7th. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
At 7:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is when the first episode is going to be aired. So
is that its own channel?
Yeah, it is. I can share it in chat with you guys really quick.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to this show you guys are doing. Like, I'm really hyped up to watch you guys. I love this sort of stuff, and I don't believe all of the. I joke about it. There's some I might be into, but I want to always know more information. And I know you guys are going to be unbiased and giving both sides, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, that's what's funny to me about conspiracy theories is I feel like so many times people want to take a side, and what's really interesting about conspiracies to me is the mystery of them. I mean, sure, there's some we're going to talk about where it's like very obviously true, One we're going to open up with is MK Ultra, which we all know really happened. There's government documents on it, and there's other ones that are just obviously really silly. You can't, they're fun to talk about though, and just see what people are saying. But I just think that the mystery of it, the not knowing, the questioning, is just fun in and of itself. So
it'll be interesting. There's a crossover between Katie Zed's true crime and the
we were talking about that.
Theory.
me and Katie were talking about this. I guess we could chit chat a little bit about this on air. But we were talking about there's a true crime story coming up that me and Abby want to cover. And Katie Zed's been following it really well, so we might have to have a crossover. So
we should.
Know what I'm talking about. So because it is true crime and conspiracy all wrapped into one case.
Yeah,
it's a really good story too, guys.
Am I allowed to say what it is?
Sure, why not?
It's the Murdaugh murders, and it's not just murders. It's like millions and millions of dollars of financial crimes and corruption that looks like it could go to the absolute top of South Carolina.
Yeah,
it's like definitely in one county, but it just seems like it could go all the way up to the South Carolina Supreme Court and Senate and all that. So
I mean, this story has everything. There's boating really accidents. Does. There's it's a lot.
It's insane.
If you want, so I guess it's been 2 years now. A couple of years ago, I did a small segment on my show back when it was Make Liberty Great Again. Nerd. But I did Red Pills of the Week, and I had done a 3-parter on Waco and one on Ruby Ridge. And let me tell you, that's government true crime. It's Waco.
Yeah. Waco.
It's conspiracy, it's true crime, and it's government malfeasance. So, and also it made me stop doing those Red Pills because I was like, oh, I can only see so many burnt bodies before I'm like, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
It's things like Waco. I brought this up before. It's things like Waco. It's things like COINTELPRO, which are so
Ruby Ridge.
Ruby Ridge. Talk about with, when people say that the FBI is only recently kind of corrupt. I'm like,
no.
Really? COINTELPRO was discovered in 1975, and that dated way back before that.
You could go back to Alcatraz, and when the feds, the FBI set up Alcatraz as their federal prison, and all the lies they told about that place.
Yeah,
that'd be an interesting show. I would love to watch that one.
Yeah, I want to say something really quick because I feel like we've failed to mention a few things.
We have
keeping out of the way. We're having such a great time talking with people. If you guys are watching this, we still have another half hour left, so don't forget to hit the share button. Let people know that we're still streaming, and we post clips of this throughout the week. But we're also going to get to your super chats at last call, which is the last 10 minutes of the show. So at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll have last call. Read all you guys' super chats, and we'll talk with you guys what's going on in the chat. And then Frank has something. I think do you have that pulled up that you want to share with them?
I do not have it pulled up yet.
He'll pull it up while I'm talking about it. But we have actually some T-shirts for you guys. If you guys are interested in getting some Last American Pubcast T-shirts, there's 3 designs right now. We'll be adding more, and they're available on Frank's Teespring account. So
let me grab it up real quick. I'm sorry, I didn't have it ready to go.
I didn't either. So yeah, it's my fault too.
Yeah, no, you're good. Let me head over to listings real quick. We have
I keep glancing over at my subscriber count, and I just get a big grin on my face every time I refresh. There's another one. You guys are awesome. Everybody who's over there, you guys are awesome.
Let me tell you, I have had that feeling before, but I had just been on Tucker Carlson, and it was honestly the worst.
Oh no!
Because it was really cool at first, but when you get in the car after being on Tucker Carlson and you spend literally 22, 23 minutes just scrolling your notifications to get to the top.
Oh,
Shit's
I wish
wild.
I had that problem.
So check it out. This is the Last American, one of our designs here for our Last American Pubcast. Raise Your Glass is this one here. And I really like this. Is one of my favorite ones here. And that's why I'm showing it. So if you guys want to go to the Teespring store, which is listed right there if you're watching on the show right now, down on the bottom, you can click that and head over there. You know what's one great thing we should probably look into doing? Maybe a mug or something.
I think a mug would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so if you guys are interested, we're not telling you to go buy it, but if you're interested in it, check it out. I forgot to mention this last week when we were on together.
Yeah.
So, no, fantastic. Yeah. I'm sorry that we have to do all this housekeeping right toward the end of the show.
I'll also say, if you guys are listening to this, I will put the links in the description for the audio only listeners. And the best way you can find any of our stuff is just go to solo.to/LastAmericanPubcast. It's got links for Abby, Frank, myself, the show. So follow that stuff up. But yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. What we were just talking about the conspiracy theories and things like that just a minute ago, and it got me thinking about all of these cool stories that go untold. And now I actually know two people that are covering it on a more of a current basis. So I'm pretty excited about that. And Cam, can you tell us a little bit about that Tucker Carlson experience? Because I didn't even know you were on Tucker. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I made a joke on Twitter, and it was an old joke. But when I made that joke, which was, all girls are bi, you just have to determine if it's polar or sexual. Not a bad joke. But Dave Weigel from the Washington Post retweeted it. And before I saw that he retweeted it, I saw people saying that he retweeted it, and then that it was his retweet was removed because a woman named Felicia Sonmez, who works with the Washington Post, complained about it, that he was allowed to retweet this and work at the Washington Post.
Imagine liking jokes.
Right. And so that led to, me just making jokes on the side, and the Spectator asked me to write an article about it, and then Tucker asked me to go on his show. And so it's fun is what that was, which I can give you the link to the Tucker video if you actually want to see that.
Yeah, throw it in there, because I would love to pull it up for the audience, because I've never known anybody that's talked to Tucker before.
I have to say, when I saw you on Tucker, I was proud to know you.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, my friend Cam's on Tucker.
Yeah, throw it in the private chat, and I'll go ahead and pull it up on video, or PJ can, or one of us, whoever can get to it
That was
first.
pretty funny. While you're pulling that up, I wanted to say, talking about conspiracies, I remember what got me thinking about conspiracies was Katie Zed said something about chemtrails and weather. What's really funny about talking about Fox News and talking about chemtrails, it was this year that or last year, whatever the Olympics were last. I don't remember.
2021. It was supposed to be 2020, but it got delayed to 2021.
The Beijing Olympics. I was listening to Fox News, and they said, yeah, because we know, and this was like a story. They reported that China does weather modification. They were worried about that with the Olympics, and it's just hilarious to me that sometimes conspiracy theories just become public facts on mainstream news, and everybody pretends like it didn't just happen.
Yeah, they say the quiet part out loud.
All right, here we go. This is the clip that Cam was on. Let's take a listen.
So the so-called newsroom at the Washington Post is melting down tonight, not because the staff collectively realized, hey, we're in dishonorable dead-end jobs funded by a billionaire to attack his political enemies, and therefore we should probably quit on the basis of our conscience. No, they haven't figured that out. No, they're upset because one of the paper's reporters, a thoroughly beta character called Dave Weigel, retweeted a joke. Now, here it is. Before we read it, we do want to warn you, this is a joke. It's not the result of some longitudinal study. It's a joke. Here's the joke. Every girl is bi. You just have to figure out if it's polar or sexual. Well, another reporter at the Post, Felicia Sonmez, flipped out and publicly demanded that Dave Weigel should be punished for liking the joke. And of course, the Post caved and issued the statement from Matea Gold, the managing editor or something, said, we won't tolerate this. And they suspended poor Dave Weigel with pay. He has so little dignity that he didn't resign. He's just waiting at home on Xbox to get back into the Post newsroom. What's amazing is that Dave Weigel previously defended the same reporter who got all mad when she was in trouble for a tweet about Kobe Bryant. Whoa, what a story. We wanted to get to the bottom of this. We want to talk to the man who wrote this dangerous, unauthorized, cruel, and insensitive joke against oppressed women, Cam Harless. And we found him, and he joins us now. Cam, did you know that you would wreck a man's career with this joke when you wrote it?
I didn't know that, but if I had known I'd done it, I probably would have done it earlier, I think.
It was an unintended benefit. Now, when you wrote this joke, did you mean to attack with verbal violence and dehumanize half the population of the United States?
Well, no. I was talking to some friends in a group chat, and someone said this, and it was the first time I'd heard it. Apparently, this is an old joke, something from the 90s. But this is the first time I heard it, and I chuckled, and I thought, I'm going to tweet that. It's the first day of Pride Month. Why not see what happens? I thought 30 likes, right? I think I'm at like 12,500 now, and I never expected that I could help set fire to the Washington Post and to start a civil war. I felt bad for like half a minute when I found out that he was suspended. And I don't think anyone should be punished for retweeting a joke that I tweet. That's ridiculous.
No.
But at the same time, I'm really happy that I'm profoundly against wars. So when I found out that Weigel was very pro Iraq war, I was like, maybe it wasn't such a bad thing that it was this guy that got that. You know what I mean?
Why is it always the weakest and the most craven that are most in favor of sending other people's kids to die in pointless conflicts? Have you ever noticed that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and there's so many of them. It's like I was when I was on the drive over here, I was talking to the driver, and we were having a conversation. And he's from a place where a lot of that stuff has happened. And I was just like, I can't apologize to you because I didn't do this, and I don't want to be someone who would claim that. But it's heartbreaking that not only do we send our kids to die, but there's also gross negligence and collateral damage. I mean, there's so much of this that happens.
But Cam, that's not the real problem. The real problem is sexist jokes on Twitter. Okay,
you're absolutely right.
That's the moral equivalent of droning 50 villages in Sudan. So I want you to live with that on your conscience. But I still want to thank you for joining us tonight, you criminal. Good to see you. I'm a criminal.
Criminal.
Good to see you.
My favorite part of this is that the Washington Post ultimately could not decide if Felicia Sonmez was bipolar or bisexual. So they were just like, bye, Felicia.
Thank you, Ocean Breeze Salty. Absolutely amazing job, Cam. That was best moment of Tucker I can think of. Seriously. Very
amazing.
Cool.
What was the process when they contacted you on that?
Okay, so the way it worked was a guy named Matt from The Spectator I'm going to get a chaser real quick. A guy named Matt from The Spectator asked me if I wanted to write an article. So once I wrote that article, Tucker read it. Tucker went and spoke to The Spectator and Matt came to me and said, hey, would you like to be on Tucker? And someone had told me I was going to end up on Tucker, but I was like, no, that's silly. That's not going to happen. And then, so he gave me their email, or he gave them mine. That's what it was. And his producer, Sammy, emailed me, and then she called me and we talked. And I was like, I live stream every week. I do a show every week. I've got everything set up where I can kind of look okay if I'm talking to him. Is that what you want to do? And they go, no, we're going to drive you over to a studio in Tampa, and we're going to do it there. And so a big black SUV, like the ones that the CIA uses to take people off the street and then murder them, shows up outside of my house.
That's
and
scary.
I'm like, did I displease Tucker? Or does he want me there, right? So yeah, I drove 45 minutes to that little studio, and the frustrating part is Justin, you can follow me at HamCarlos on Twitter, or you can check out my YouTube, youtube.com/themadOnes, or on any podcatcher. Boom, promotion. But so the thing that threw me off is I'm really used to talking into a camera, but I can see all of you. I can read your body language. I can do all of that. And so most people didn't notice it, but I noticed how many times I touched my damn nose because just looking into a camera lens and being able to hear him in one ear completely disconcerted me. So it took me a bit to get past that.
They haven't figured out to have the person's face on a screen that you're talking to at a studio?
They can do that. but it takes a direct line. And they barely found a studio for me to go to.
It would probably been easier that you did it at home.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, he did turn on the video right before. And so there was a literal I counted 38-second delay. And I was like, there's no way I'm watching it. That's not going to happen. I'll be so confused. But yeah. That was fun, man. That was a good time.
Nice. Well, good. This reminds me. We got, I think, 10 minutes before we get to the super chats. This reminds me of one more story that we brought up. We want to talk about, and that was the Ben Shapiro thing. So talking about
two stories. We still have two stories.
Two.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro and a story from last week. We didn't get a chance to talk about. We talked about it off air. She-Hulk.
Oh my God! The She-Hulk first. Me and Abby watched She-Hulk and reviewed it on my show on Wartime Propaganda. And, I put my guests through some work. Tucker Carlson, he might pick you up in a black SUV and scare the shit out of you. But I made Katie Zed watch They/Them. I made
It was
Abby
awful.
I downloaded that movie because it looked so bad.
Katie Zed far worse because They/Them we thought was going to be a horror movie. And I'm like, okay, it's going to be a propaganda film, but it'll be a horror movie at least, a bad horror movie. I kind of like bad horror movies. It was not a horror movie at all. Not even a little.
And there was like...
And it was graphic.
Hardcore
for sure.
Gay
it was bad.
Porn. It was horrible.
Did you say gay porn?
Yes.
I'm not watching that now.
No, don't.
Let me go to my Plex.
Fast forward. It was like, I mean, it was bad. It was
you better
bad.
believe I didn't download it. I mean, I didn't pay for it at least.
It was bad in every single way. But what did you think of She-Hulk, Abby? That was not as bad, but it was something.
I watched the second episode today, and I'm still holding out hope that it's going to turn out all right. But there's definitely moments where she's the whiniest. She's really doing a great job proving that women can do anything men can do, but whinier.
Well, I mean, that's just reality.
It's like, it's a reality TV show.
It's weird to see Marvel go from a superhero show to a victim show where every single character that is the main character is the victim. Because that's exactly what She-Hulk is. She-Hulk gets these extraordinary powers, and yet somehow she finds a way to complain about it incessantly and be the victim in every single situation.
The microaggressions are too great for her.
Yeah,
I haven't watched
constantly.
It yet. And I will tonight, but I need to know before I do that, how many times do you think I'm going to be saying,
"Shut up, silly woman"?
Once every 3.5 seconds because the pacing is extremely fast.
Okay.
That's the
There are
problem.
definitely good moments. They're definitely good moments.
The worst part of it, even beyond her whining, even beyond the fact that it's like pushing a certain message, the pacing is so bad that it makes it.
Yeah, I heard the transitions are terrible.
Your freaking audience has made me buzz, so I'm gonna do some stupid stuff now.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
So yeah, and I'll probably love the show.
Well,
and
Cam, you are at a pub, so I mean,
yeah.
Do you know why I
Cheers to
will
that.
probably love the show, though?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
oh goodness! All right, for the Ben Shapiro story, cue it up.
Okay, sorry. So Ben Shapiro this week made a small appearance at some kind of podcast conference. And now these articles are coming out saying, we take full responsibility. Dallas Podcast Conference apologizes for the presence of conservative podcaster Ben Shapiro. So according to this article, it says the world's largest podcast conference holding an event in Dallas apologized Thursday for the presence of a conservative podcaster who showed up at his company's booth. So what's weird to me is Daily Wire was allowed to have a booth, but it wasn't until Ben Shapiro walked in, talked to the few people at his booth, and walked out, because it's about as long as he was there from what I've heard, that it caused this uproar where they literally tweeted, Podcast Movement, or at Podcast Movement on Twitter, literally tweeted, "Hi, folks. We owe you an apology before sessions kick off for the day. Yesterday afternoon, Ben Shapiro briefly visited the PM22 Expo near the Daily Wire booth. Though he was not registered or expected, we take full responsibility for the harm done by his presence. I just want to know, like, how insecure, like, is this She-Hulk level insecure where you are harmed by the presence of someone of a 5'9" Orthodox Jew?
Right.
It's his company. Like, he had a booth. It's his company. He owns what?
Yeah, he wasn't expected, but he was certainly allowed to show up.
Yeah.
This goes right back to what Abby had talked about earlier tonight, talking about how they're trying to make us the most undesirable people around.
Exactly. God forbid that a conservative was on the premises at the same time that everybody else was.
Let's be honest. I would not want to see Ben Shapiro either, but that's just personal. But no, that's what's crazy is you see Ben Shapiro and that you hear them talk. I felt like I was in danger with Ben Shapiro around. I'm like, what are you, 4'3" and anemic? What kind of person are you where you'd be in danger by Ben Shapiro? Actually, I'm going to shut up, Ben. You're gonna be okay.
That was a pretty good impression.
Yeah. It was. Next time you come on the show, Cam, I think you need to be at this level of drinks in.
You didn't pregame with us. That was the issue.
Hey, dude, I have 5 children. It's hard to pregame, but once I get there.
You know, as someone who has felt the emotional pain and just real trauma, internal trauma of being in close proximity to Ben Shapiro, I just want to say, everyone who came forward on the internet the past couple of days, just the courage. I can't even keep a straight face.
One of my
speaks to a bigger issue.
One of my favorite memes I've ever made is a picture of Ben Shapiro, and on it says, "Mom told me that you have to actually look for me next time we play hide and seek, because that's who he is to me."
But the real important thing about this is really easy to laugh about it, but Ben is a moderate conservative.
That's the point I was going to
make. Very, very moderate.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay, I can't say that word.
He's nowhere near like the far right extremists or whatever. And what is being said is that he should not have been allowed in a public space. That Ben Shapiro existing in a public podcasting space is violence and worthy of being apologized. I'm so sorry we exposed you to this moderate conservative. The natural conclusion is that conservatives should not be allowed in public.
But that is a part of it. He's the most centrist of anyone at the Daily Wire.
Yeah,
right. Daily Wire is far more centrist than a lot of other conservatives.
Tim Pool is more far right than Ben Shapiro.
Yeah,
sometimes.
And he has a blue pill stuck in his cheek that he sucks on when he gets nervous. But that's what's crazy to me is Ben Shapiro, who's a wiener by all accounts. Like, that's what you're afraid of. Is this guy? Give me a break.
I think
really
he actually comes
goes...
up to my like hip. If I would stand next to him, he'd be like to my hip. He's like as long as one of my legs.
I just want to take this
show.
moment.
They want us to have our own spaces, but then we do have our own spaces, and they want to shut it down. Then they protest.
No, they don't want us to have our own spaces. They want us dead. Like they want us to either shut up, cower, and pretend to be liberal, or die. That's what they want.
They want all three, Abby. They want all three.
Both Katie and Abby are right. They do literally want to kill us. It's not a joke. It's not hyperbole. They actually do.
We got to clip that.
Is right.
PJ just admitted women were right on this panel.
That's ludicrous. Let me say it so it's legitimate. They want us dead, but they will settle for our submission.
Thank you, Cam.
What I was going to say is Katie is right because they want us to have our own spaces. It just happens to be in a January 6th gulag.
Yes. That's the space they want us.
That's the only space we're allowed to be in is a gulag.
Cam, going back to your beef with Ben Shapiro, I just want to take this moment and say Ben Shapiro did me a terrible wrong, and this is what it was.
Ooh,
I'll
tell you about my Sean Astin wrong if you tell me you're Ben Shapiro.
Okay, my husband was right behind me in the greeting line. So I went through, and then my husband went through, and he told Ben Shapiro it was the greatest day of his life.
Okay, so was this the moment that you realized your husband was gay?
No, I realized that when he started drinking White Claw.
Man. So you have signs, but I think the first one was the homoerotic firefighter calendar that he posed for.
Right.
That probably should have been your first sign.
Probably.
How many more do you need, Abby?
Not only does the cat oil up, but so does her husband.
Yeah.
Y'all.
You see what Frank and me and Cam all have in common? We have beards. You are your husband's beard.
Okay. All right. In John's defense, you can't have a beard in the fire service because of the SCBA.
Is that what he told you?
Yes,
Well, I mean,
that's what he told me. Okay. I'm done.
We have reached the final call. So everyone that has super chatted or has any questions, you guys this is your time to be recognized. So we'll go through and give the thanks to the super chatters who is super chatting, give them a little bit of time in the spotlight. We have Alien Testosterone that came in with $2 early on this evening. Thank you, Alien Testosterone. Appreciate it. We also had Ocean Bree Salty says towards your bail money when they come for you, if they let you even post bail. Thank you, Denise. Then we also had Capper Outdoors coming in with $20. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. Don't forget to leave a message in there, guys. If you're putting that super chat in, that's your time to shine, your time to have that question or statement put out there. But thank you so much. Go check out Capper Outdoors. He does have a YouTube channel. He does some great work on the internets. Again, another one from Ocean Bree Salty says that I'm getting another one for a drink. Thank you so much, Denise. We also got one here from Tara Eggers. She said this one was for my round. There you guys go. Awesome. Movie or Ripcord earlier came in with $10. Said you guys are looking thirsty, and came in with a $10 super chat here. And of course, Movie Dog with a $10 super sticker. So thank you, Movie Dog. Taz came in. This was just a statement that he put out there I thought was quite interesting. He says, I live in Seattle. We have a Republican as a city lawyer now. It's an elected position. We still have 2 open socialists, though.
Wow. Only 2 in Seattle?
Is that all?
Yeah. Alien Testosterone had a question for Abby. Whoa, I don't know what happened there.
The cat did it.
Knock her camera over.
Well, maybe this answers the question then. Alien Testosterone said, why does Abby Porter always look on the level?
I don't know. I think I'm a little bit crooked. My neck always hurts, so I think I always hold myself just a little bit crooked. You know what it is?
The flag.
Oh, is the flag crooked?
It has straight lines on it, so any deviance from level is going to be you're going to be told on because of the straight lines on that flag.
There you go.
Cam's right, man.
And with the answer, True Cactus came in with $2 and said, "Ask for a meme video and you shall receive." Maybe we'll have the Michael Scott one.
Awesome.
Cactus is amazing. You should go follow her at Real Truth Cactus on Twitter.
If you have her link, drop it in there, Abby.
Yeah, I'll follow.
Yeah, let me find that.
If you're not following me on Twitter, your mother's disappointed in you. She loves
TJ,
me.
do you have a link for Cam you could throw in there?
Ham Carlos on Twitter. I'll grab it real quick.
And of course, Ocean Bree Salty came in with $2. It says, LMAO, that was you. I'll drink to that. Talking about your appearance on Tucker.
Yeah. So I want to say, for people who leave a super chat and don't put anything in the messaging, you really missed out on an opportunity to make the comparison between Dark Brandon and ask if Cam is Dark Mr. Clean. It's a good question. Could have asked.
Well, I see myself as really a dark Zach Galifianakis, which is a terrifying concept.
You should have your show. What was that? What would he have that with 2 bushes or something? In
between two ferns.
Yes.
I will tell you though, I have a lot of fun whenever I make content because I do all of the different kinds of content except for Facebook and Instagram because screw those 2. But like I'm on TikTok and someone sent me some smelling salts the other day because they were like, "Hey man, you know this will help with your migraine. This will help you keep awake." And I tried it, and so then I said on TikTok, I'm I'm going to do this with every TikTok I do now. And I have. And I find it absolutely hilarious. I don't care if you think it's funny or not. I love it. And it hurts. So I'm also on TikTok if you want to see me torture myself for fun. Let me see if I have a video
We got
of
it.
that.
Here we got. Let's grab this real quick before we go. I need to share this. This is from Real Truth Cactus. She came in with the meme. Let's go ahead and take a look at
I
this.
see it.
Let me grab it. So this is the meme we talked about a second ago. Here's Abby. This is the coffee challenge.
You didn't have to bring any coffee, did you, Michael?
Milk and sugar.
Oh, awesome. You're a lifesaver. Wait, is this just milk and sugar?
That's what I said.
Do you drink this every day?
Every morning.
Amazing.
Amazing. That is awesome.
I don't remember which TikTok it was that I made, but I did put one in there if you want to play it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm finding it right now. I
I
watched
say
someone the
that
other
I would sniff smelling salts at the beginning of every TikTok. Because you're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Amazing.
I hate to break it to people. Like, you're it's great that some people watch my stuff, but I'm here to make me laugh, and that's it.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Both of those videos were amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
Excellent meme from Cactus.
Ooh.
I think
Boy,
I will pin that at the very top of the Latin America Pubcast Twitter channel.
Yeah, could you throw not to be too needy here, but could you throw the YouTube link for me in the chat? I don't know if you did that or not. I've had too much to drink.
You got that, PJ?
I'm grabbing it right now.
YouTube.com/themad1s. That's all you need to know.
I was just watching
nice
one
unique
of your...
URL you have there.
Yeah.
So the so-called newsroom at the Washington Post is melting.
Sorry, did you guys hear that when the video started?
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
Apologize.
Somebody said it reminded them of Nicolas Cage.
What were you going to say?
I was watching one of your interview with man, I'm forgetting his name. Starts with
Just
a J.
do what he does. Just say what he does, and I'll tell you what his name is or her.
He has Lyme disease.
Oh, my friend Josh.
Yeah, your friend Josh. And I was really impressed at the emotional depth of it. Like, you're a really, really funny guy, but you also just get to a really deep level with your guests.
Yeah, that's so when it comes to making content, tweeting, etc., you're seeing a part of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you read my tweets, that is something I would say out loud and probably offend your mother and my mother for that matter. But yeah, no. So Josh, oh my God, if you watch that, I love Josh so much.
I can tell.
Like it was hard. Like that's the most I've ever gushed in a show in my life, and I know him personally, so it's not like some celebrity, but that guy affected me so positively that it's just like, I'm so glad I get to sit here and just compliment you. And it sucks. Lyme disease freaking sucks, man.
He really got the short end of the stick, I can tell. But you seem to have a theme of overcoming on your channel, which I really appreciate.
Hope is the primary hope of the show. Like, I want to push people into the being hopeful, into having motivation to carry on, but even more so, I really hope people find Jesus. But that's happened a couple times. I have had people message me who said, hey, either I rededicated myself to the Lord or I became a Christian because of your show. And at that point I was like, I'm not doing many Christian shows at this point, so you just like the way I talk about it when it comes up. And I was like, thank you, Lord, I'm doing something right.
That's awesome.
Absolutely
You
incredible.
definitely are, yeah.
But
Well, we've reached the end of our Pubcast. The closed sign is being put up there already. The open sign has been turned off. We do have some great guests coming up. Next week, we have the Cajun Libertarian, right? Is that
Very
correct?
excited for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the
I think he followed me.
The following week, we also have the Fake News Critic, which is Drone Tech here on YouTube. You guys can find him there as well. But next 2 weeks will be awesome. This week's two guests were fantastic, Katie Zed and Cam. Thank you so much for coming on by the pub. We do appreciate you guys. Any closing words from the two of you guys before we get out of here for the evening?
Well, you know what? I'll just leave you with the words I end every show with. You have a chance to be a light in the world, so go light it up.
Woo!
I don't know how I can follow that.
Yeah, well, I mean, just like flip them off or something. That'll be wild enough that it'll be.
I want to
memorable.
say thank you to your wonderful audience for getting me to that unique URL. I'm going to drop my link in the chat again if anybody missed it. But I hope everybody comes and checks out my North Korea show tomorrow because it's going to be good.
4 o'clock, right?
4 o'clock tomorrow. And I stream on YouTube and Twitch, but nobody watches on Twitch. But you know, I'm hoping maybe someday it'll catch on. I don't know, but come join my Discord server. You can call in if you have any thoughts about it.
Can I just say one more thing?
Absolutely.
So like I do theme months sometimes. Every now and then I get a wild hair and there's a theme month. October and December are theme months no matter what. Which I'm so excited about this December. But before I say that, October is going to be, I was like, oh, let's do Halloween. Let's do spooky month. But what it's turned out to be is an unseen realm month. So we're going to be talking about a lot of spiritual stuff and like things that a lot of people don't talk about. I need to fill one more spot, but that's going to be incredible. And then after that, the first two people I happened to talk to about the November shows were both named Nick. And so I found two more people named Nick. And so November is Nick November. And I have only talked to one person for December so far, and it's Santa Claus. It's legitimately a guy who runs an academy for Santa Clauses. And he's gonna come up in full dress. He's gonna be in his North Pole studio. Dude, I'm so thrilled. But yeah, so just youtube.com/themattones. Please follow me. I'd like to make money someday.
Cam's show is awesome, guys. Seriously, check it out. I always catch the replay and I'm never disappointed, and you never know what you're gonna get with Cam's show. It's not like he talks to everybody, and it's just always very interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, go check it out, everyone. PJ, do you want to close us out with last words?
So again, thank you guys for our guests, Cam, Katie. You guys were awesome. Just glad that I'm super excited to have Abby on as a new full-time panelist. Can't wait for Tom to return. So if you guys are watching this, please tell a friend about it and come join us next week on the Last American Pubcast. We're out, guys. Take it easy. God bless.